while I have you and we're talking about SolleMegas, a question that comes up often about just in general when people think about other SolleMegas is the gel capsule. So I would love for you to just real quickly talk about what makes the SolleMegas gel capsule that we put it in a little bit different than what people will see in other gel caps.
Yeah, I mean, usually I will tell you 90% of the time, maybe higher. But I'll be generous. 90% of the time, it's animal gelatin, which comes from parts that you don't want me to repeat. So to be nice, I'm not going to say where they come from. They're highly heated, processed, but you know what? They're really easy to work with. And when it comes to manufacturing, it is by far the easiest material because they less energy expenditure to get it to stick and not have leakers, which is a big worry because these are oil-based. Then when you get natural state omegas, then you have other components of plants in there that make it even more difficult for them. So almost always, and we obviously connected in with a global supply community, often we'll have people, oh, you need to please come and use us, so much less expensive, so much quicker lead time, you could cut it into a third of the time it's taking you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the problem is we don't like those sources. When you go to vegetable, our soft gel is actually a vegetable source. It actually is simply Irish moss. Now on the label you'll see, because it has a little recipe there, and all of those components are on our label. I think it's sorbitol, glycerin, purified water, and non-GMO vegetable starch, and carrageenan from Irish moss. Now, all of those very safe, good sources. The carrageenan gets attention because you've seen some negative internet write-ups because there are processed carrageenans. So like anything else, they can look at the structure and why do they want to process them? I would call it semi-synthetic. It's just easier to work with. They don't have to deal with as delicate humidity, temperature control, and things that have to be in the whole soft gel process. So when you look around the world, I'll tell you, there are like 3 or 4, and you didn't hear that wrong, who can even do what we need. One that does it to the level that we require. But I can tell you our carrageenan there's nothing modified about it. It is the only really reliable vegetable. There is tapioca out there, but if you put our whole seed omegas in them, it will degrade it and they would leak because we looked into that. There are other options there. So carrageenan just has that perfect balance from Irish moss. There will probably be other things, I'm sure, discovered. And if there are good plant options and we like aspects of them even better, carrageenan it's not a nutritional component that we have to have, but it is very reliable. And it is something that went from when you get it from Irish moss and it's pure, it's great in the body. There are nutrients and no kind of detriment. And that's probably worth mentioning. But yes, the soft gels are a big deal. Same thing with our capsules that are vegetable capsules. You know what? It's changing in 10 years. More and more are moving to this. It used to be these capsules were 2 and 3 times the animal gelatin in price. The more people gravitate to this, you'll have more demand, and it actually helps the cost basis to it and mitigates inflation. So, but we're only gonna provide the vegetable quality and the high plant quality, the highest that science knows of at the time, because yeah, I'm putting 2 to 4 in my body every day, right? And people are putting them in. It's a nutrient component. We want it to be something that people can scale up to their needs and not be concerned about the gel cap.
I love that. And I just thought you were going to tell me just one little thing, and then I was like, just blessed with all.
There's a bunch. Sorry about that.
I'm not even complaining. I love it all. But this does give me a brief opportunity. I have the opportunity now to talk about, that Soul Certain guarantee. And I remember a few years back, my SolleMegas had come to me, and it was in the heat of summer, and they ended up coming, and when I opened them, there was like this, it was like darker spot than normal, and it always has like a beautiful little darker little tinge in there.
A lecithin cloud.
Yes, the lecithin cloud. Yes, but this one was like a lot darker than normal, and I remember at the time, I was like, what is this? And it was particularly hot that year at that time. And I remember like going to Blake about like, Blake, what is this in my SolleMegas? And Blake was like, well, give it to me. Let me take it and test it. And it was so quickly for Solle to like get it in on that Monday. And then I think by Wednesday, we had results of like, it's perfectly fine. It's not going to harm you. It's probably just the, you know, the lecithin itself probably just colored because of the heat in transport. And I remember thinking at the time, like, wow, because I remember Blake saying, but if you don't like the color, like if it bothers you, just send it back and we'll send you a new bottle. And I was like, huh, they would like just, you know, make me happy no matter what, just because I didn't like the color. And so I love the fact that Solle takes all of those extra steps, just like you said, with the gelatin and the gel caps and everything else, all the extra steps, because we want to make sure that we're putting these things in our body, that we can scale it, that we can take, you know, as much of it as our body needs and get the results of these incredible plants. And SolleMegas is one of my favorites.